In the heart of the Australian wilderness, where the air hums with the distant calls of exotic birds and the ground trembles under the weight of untamed nature, Jack Osbourne found himself facing a challenge that would test the very limits of human endurance. The son of rock legend Ozzy Osbourne, Jack has long been accustomed to the spotlight, but nothing could quite prepare him for the visceral intensity of the Down the Hatch trial. This wasn't just another obstacle in the grueling survival competition. It was a plunge into the unknown, a deliberate immersion into a world of slithering shadows and suffocating confines that echoed the chaotic spirit of his family's storied legacy. Picture the scene: a massive, submerged cage suspended in murky waters, its surface rippling like the skin of some ancient beast disturbed from slumber. Hatches dot its structure like sealed portals to another realm, each one guarding secrets that no sane adventurer would willingly uncover. Jack, at 40 years old, stood at the edge, his broad shoulders squared against the humid breeze, eyes locked on the task ahead. He drew in a deep breath, the kind that fills the lungs with purpose and banishes doubt, before committing to the dive. Down he went, slipping through the hatch with the grace of a man who has stared down personal demons and emerged victorious. The water enveloped him instantly, cool and unyielding, pressing against his skin as if to remind him of the fragility of life in this wild expanse. Inside the cage, the trial unfolded like a nightmare scripted by nature's cruelest hand. Water pythons, sleek and sinuous creatures with scales that gleamed like polished obsidian even in the dim light filtering through the depths, coiled lazily around the obstacles. Their bodies, thick as a man's arm and longer than most grown men are tall, undulated through the water with a hypnotic rhythm that belied their predatory intent. Jack's mission was deceptively simple yet brutally demanding. For each star he sought to claim for his camp's meager supper, he had to endure 2 agonizing minutes within one of these flooded compartments. The stars, metallic tokens of triumph, were affixed behind panels that required steady hands and unblinking focus to unscrew, all while the pythons slithered perilously close, their forked tongues tasting the air, inches from his submerged form. From the safety of the commentary booth, perched high above the chaos like gods observing mortals, Ant and Deck watched with a mixture of awe and disbelief. These seasoned hosts, who have narrated countless such spectacles over the years, found themselves momentarily speechless as Jack navigated the trial. "He must be getting tired," Deck murmured, his voice laced with genuine concern, eyes widening as Jack's silhouette twisted gracefully below the surface. Ant, ever the optimist in the face of absurdity, nodded slowly. "But he seems very calm though," he replied, his tone carrying the weight of admiration for a competitor who defied the mounting exhaustion. Their commentary, usually peppered with light-hearted banter, gave way to a reverent hush, punctuated only by the occasional gasp as Jack's hands worked methodically against the unyielding screws. What made Jack's performance all the more remarkable was the composure he maintained under pressure. In a first-look glimpse of the trial, captured in crystalline detail, Jack could be seen hovering at a significant depth, bubbles escaping his lips in measured bursts. The water around him churned with the subtle movements of the pythons, their forms weaving through the confined space like living ropes intent on entanglement. Yet Jack remained unflinching. With deliberate precision, he reached for the star, his fingers gripping the tool with the steady resolve of a surgeon in the operating theater. The screw resisted at first, a stubborn sentinel against his efforts, but Jack twisted with quiet determination, his face a mask of focused serenity. Deck, hand pressed to his forehead in sheer astonishment, broke the silence with a breathless exclamation. "He's going to do it in one breath." The words hung in the air, a testament to the improbable feat unfolding before them, a single sustained inhalation fueling a victory snatched from the jaws of aquatic peril. Jack's bravery in this trial was no isolated act of heroism. It was the culmination of a journey that has seen him evolve from a wide-eyed reality TV participant into a figure of quiet strength. Entering the jungle earlier that month, he arrived not as the pampered scion of rock royalty but as a man forged in the fires of adversity. Growing up in the opulent shadow of his parents' fame, Jack had known luxury, sprawling estates, private jets, and the constant whirl of celebrity, yet he had also borne witness to the darker undercurrents of that life. The Osbourne name carried with it not just privilege but the raw, unfiltered spectacle of familial turmoil, broadcast to the world through the lens of their iconic MTV series. Now, stripped of those comforts, Jack embraced the jungle's harsh egalitarianism with an enthusiasm that bordered on relish. He dove into the camp's more arduous chores, chopping wood under the relentless sun, foraging for elusive supplies, tending to the communal fire as night fell like a heavy curtain. with a vigor that endeared him to his fellow contestants and captivated viewers tuning in from afar. Yet beneath this outward display of grit lay a deeper emotional undercurrent, one that tugged at the heartstrings of those watching. Jack's candor about his late father, Ozzy, infused his every action with poignant resonance. Ozzy's passing in July at the venerable age of 76 had come just weeks after a triumphant farewell concert in their hometown of Birmingham, a poetic capstone to a career that redefined rebellion. Jack spoke of his father not with the distance of biography but with the intimacy of shared scars, the battles with addiction, the unyielding march of time, the fierce love that bound them despite the storms. In quiet moments around the campfire, as stars wheeled overhead in the vast southern sky, Jack would recount tales of Ozzy's indomitable spirit, the way he clawed back from the brink time and again, turning pain into anthems that echoed through generations. These reflections weren't mere anecdotes. They were lifelines anchoring Jack amid the isolation of the competition and reminding him that resilience was the family's true inheritance.